7 minutes in Intermodal.
All right, welcome back. Happy New Year. And we're here with episode number 12. And I have Koz here with me, the Supply Chain Cowboy out of Chicago. Koz, what's going on?
What's going on, John? Good to be here.
Yeah. My first question is about Supply Chain Cowboy. So what's the story with that?
I kind of just made it up. You know, I'm known for, I'm known from shooting from the hip. And originally kind of how I built my name in drayage is I always guaranteed that my customers would never pay demurrage. So I looked at that as kind of like robbing the railroad, because that's where they make their money. Historically, cowboys used to rob the trains. So,
yeah,
you know, a little background there.
Yeah, but you're the good cowboy during the shootout.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the guy on the good guy side, or so I hope. You know.
And I know you have your own company, but what'd you do before? You've had your company for a few years now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're
Amnex.
Probably coming up on 3 years. I worked and built another startup, helped out there. And before that, I was just in the industry. I've been on the asset side, brokerage side, specifically like supply chain consulting as well. So just a lot of mix and match, but I've always kind of been in the startup realm. I've never worked for like a big legacy company.
Okay, nice. And how do you think that actually makes it advantageous for you and your customers of you not having worked in like a legacy of having more of that startup concept?
It just kind of gave me the opportunity to think outside of the box more. Okay. You know, when you work at these big companies, they have a lot of rules in place and a certain way they do things, and it's not always right. And they can't adapt as quickly to everyday changing industry like, you know, you could in a startup and getting creative and things like that. So that's why I've really made the personal choice to never really work for a legacy company. So, yeah.
Okay. And obviously I follow your LinkedIn posts quite a bit. And you talk a lot about the extra charges, the accessorial fees, right? So why is that such a big issue in the drayage space? And I guess, how did it come about and why is it still the way it is?
So, yeah, great question. I mean, during the pandemic, I got a lot of insight into problems within drayage. So to give you a little background, you know, our whole thing is not just drayage. It's knowing your cost up front all the way from a different country to the end point, which could be
life cycle.
A consumer's mailbox, you know. But we, you know, are lasered in on drayage because actually that's where it's one of the most complicated issues. And everybody has different pricing. You know, someone kind of came in and historically they standardized, you know, how we should bill these accessorial charges, but everybody has different rates for different things. There's no consistency within the space from what I see. You know, some people charge $45 a day for chassis, $50. Others charge, you know, much cheaper, $15. So it's kind of a gray area for everybody to choose where they make their money. That doesn't really come down to line haul anymore like you would see in over-the-road trucking.
Okay. And so what are y'all doing that fixes that, I guess? Or how are you making it easier for the customers?
Yeah, so we just basically have been developing and have developed an infrastructure where we don't charge accessories. So it's all what I guess you would consider in the current space strategic partnerships and agreements and, you know, things of that nature. But we basically come up, again, we started as a consulting company in supply chain. So we go in, you know, we dive into the customer's operation. We can see, you know, their exact turn time, their average operation, how things are moving at their DCs. And we're able to create a budget for them that actually saves them money from the budget they have for the year, let's say, for that allocated annual volume. and we come with a lower number and say, this is all it takes to make this work, and this is what you're going to pay for the year, not a dollar more, not a dollar less.
And how has the response been? Are there some that say, no, we rather do it the way it's been done, and they think you're too much, or is it usually pretty receptive?
That's a really good question, actually. It's very 50-50 right now, because of course, when you're working with big companies, they have a standard way of doing, the back office accounting where they want to see those charges split up. But other companies have, we've been their saving grace where their accounting team is extremely happy because, all of our invoices are one line item, which in reality, like a drayage invoice could be like 17 line items, Right. So it really depends. It's going to take some adjustment, but, that's what we do. We're trying to create more of a movement than a product and get as many people behind it so that it's more fair, because ultimately it helps the truckers and it helps the customers. It's not one-sided.
And with the truckers, how does it help them?
There's no disputes, right? They know their cash flow that's coming in on a weekly and monthly basis.
Yeah.
So, if as long as they're getting enough money to operate and they're still profitable, it's an ideal situation. It's an ecosystem where, we're focused on the finances in this scenario. It's not really about the logistics. Logistics are super easy. It's just getting something from point A to point B. People have just complicated that. So we're coming back and simplifying it and, keeping trucks running.
Okay, nice. And you kind of already answered this next one, but what's one thing that you would want the drayage or the intermodal world to know about what y'all do?
Yeah, that's it. We're just trying to create, a seamless cash flow ecosystem. That's the biggest thing, because that's another part of the industry that's having a lot of trouble right now is financially as a whole. So, that's the main problem at the end of the day that we're trying to fix, that's provider facing.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I like what's really standing out here is movement, like you said, having that, creating that movement, and also the ecosystem. Like those are two things that really stand out from what you said, but we'll get you back on in a few. Let's see how the movement gets going. And I know you are doing great things. So congrats on all you're doing, and keep shooting from the hip.
Appreciate it, John.
Awesome. Thanks, man.